Yo, 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 what's up? This is John from Judge Innovation Garage in the Peach Capital of the state, baby boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, let a few people get on in here. We're gonna take, I got most of it done already. We're gonna take the gauge cluster out of this box truck. Moved everything around. Then pallets at the exhaust shop. And excuse me, the pallets at the exhaust shop. So they're gonna do a few things for me while I start and go from there. They're going to do the exhaust. I told them exactly what I needed. I told them if they run into anything and they didn't know the answer, call me or video call me and I would help them over the phone. If I have to go up there, I'll go up there. I told them our objective was to get it over the rear end. The objective is to go over the rear end and out the back with dual exhaust, but not sure we're gonna be able to do that because of all the moving parts. It's got air ride, it's up and down, it lays out. We don't know if we're gonna get there, but nevertheless, that's the initial plan. If they can't get it there, well, I say they, him, if him can't get it there, he's gonna call me and let me know, and then we're gonna do plan B, which will be right there in front of the rear end, but dump it out towards the side so all the noise is not in the vehicle. So that is the objective. I even contemplated on doing like a dummy part. What's up, Roger? Doing like a dummy part, like it's got dual exhaust at the back, but just bring it up and just deadhead it. But that's a little bit too much, so we're not gonna do that. Just can't get out the rear when it's airbag like that all the way to the ground. Just, there's literally that much room in between the bottom of the floor pans and the top of the rear end. There's not enough space, and two things can't occupy the same space at the same time. Just don't work. So, with that being said, so they're going to put the wheels on it. They're going to balance the wheels, going to check the balance on the wheels, balance the wheels, put the wheels on, put some new lug nuts on it, and then they're going to align it as well. So it's going to get exhaust done, front end alignment, and then that little O-ring that goes into the detent cable. I asked him, since he's got it up on that big lift, asked him if he would replace that O-ring because the O-ring was not on the detent cable. in the transmission. So I got the O-ring and give it to him, and he's like, yeah, I'll do that. And I said, there's about 1.5 gallons of transmission fluid in the trunk, so go ahead and fill it up. But do not drive the vehicle out of the building until I come up here, because I want to make sure everything is good to go before we do that. So, what's up, Roger? So what we're going to do right now, since the Impala's at the exhaust shop, I was going to stay and get content, but he said that he wasn't going to be able to work on the Impala constantly. He'd like in and out, because he had 2 people that called out sick, so he's short-handed. So at least it's there. It's in the building. She's in the building. So that's all that matters to me. So, and then I got to clean up. I've been cleaning up yesterday. I cleaned up last night. And also because Saturday, I got a treat for you guys, boys and girls. I got a treat for you Saturday. Saturday, there's a treat coming. And then Sunday and Monday, we're supposed to be getting some snow. Also going to try to cut down a tree Saturday. So y'all might be able to see that too. But I got a treat coming in the morning, and we're going to cut some limbs down. We're going to cut a tree down in the afternoon, if that's that. So with that being said, so here, let's, Roger, how are you doing today, buddy? You doing all right? I have got, I guess a welding ball burnt me. All right, so here we go. Here is, like I said, I already got the steering. I already got this bracket loose. She was in there. I got this bracket loose. I had to get up here, and I really didn't want to, but I had to get up here and sand the heads off of these flat heads. Whoever invented flat heads and star bit, or star Phillips and flats, they are to have their daggone thumbs cut off. I can't stand it. So I had to sand the heads off of them because they were stripped. So I got that screwed off. Good, I'm glad you're doing good. So I got to get some snips. We're going to cut this. We're going to take the whole cluster out, and we're going to take everything out of it, and we're going to figure out what's going on, because I did a video earlier asking what wiring harness everybody's using, and these are the gauges that we're using right there. Them Woodward gauges right there. That's the ones that he picked out. So that's the gauges. So let's go over here and get this snips. Man, it's supposed to be like, I know it's wintertime. I'm not complaining. I'm just making conversation. It is supposed to be, it's supposed to be like 14 degrees tonight or tomorrow. I don't know. A couple days. I don't know what day it is. Not reusing this, so that's why I'm cutting it. All right, so that's that. Let me go set the camera up. Oh yeah, the magnet for the tripod's supposed to be here tomorrow too. Big old set of wires right there. That's a big set. It's a big old wiring harness right there. I don't know why that thing got such a big wiring harness. Damn thing didn't have nothing on it. It's 23 Eastern Kentucky. Yeah. All right. So let me, yeah, it's supposed to be here this weekend, I think. All right, so let me show you. That's a big ass wiring harness. Look at that. A pretty damn big ass wiring harness. This thing didn't have nothing. I mean, literally. I mean, it was a straight 300. I mean, turn single. I mean, a lot of wires right there. So I'm hoping, now we're going to do away with the clutch pedal, but I'm hoping I can get like a universal brake booster, you know, for like a race car style or something to put up underneath there, so we can kind of keep all this. Now the steering column, we can probably go and take it on out. Yeah. I'll take those bolts out right there. All right, let's go over here and check out what we got going on. Right there is what I just used right there. Them big boys right there. Them big boy tools right there. Yeah. And right there, snip, snip. And then right there, snip, snip. All right, so it's pretty cool. Pretty cool gauges, but they don't work. They don't work, but those up there are kind of retro. So this was the heater. What was this? I guess that's the lights. That was the choke. I don't know what that was. Interesting. Ain't no telling what that was. That was probably that interior light. And then there's the key ignition switch. So we're gonna clean all this up. Yeah, I hated I had to do that, but we just had to clean it. And I don't know what this light right here would have been for on the side. I ain't got a clue. So let's clean this up. Let's remove all this. Now we're not gonna throw none of this away. We just don't need it. Look, you can't have nothing without the daggone bobby pin. So I don't know what that was right there, what that was for, but it was added on. There's a resistor or a circuit breaker. Look, there's a fuse. Look, there's a fuse box right there. How cool is that? How freaking cool. Q. All right. Let's get some tools. Let's get some tools and take all that stuff out. Like I said, I'm not going to throw it away. Not going to throw it away. Nope. Not going to throw it away. Probably like to get the old handy dandy vice grips. Those handy dandy vice grips.
It's not real, but hey, people often ask, how bad does food have to be so that you will eat it? It's not too bad. But we went looking for another counter.
Most of these fasteners are rusty. So then instead of trying to mess with them, we're just gonna, and they're fillet heads too, they're rusty. So the heads of them are weak. And as soon as you put a daggone screwdriver on there and go to turn it, like I said, we're going to reuse this. We're not reusing none of this inside. So I'll talk to this client tomorrow. Tell them where we're at. Tell them what I got going on. Tell them what my plan is. Tell them the direction that we're going in, and then start ordering some stuff. I asked earlier what wiring harness my colleagues out there, what do y'all use? Like American Powertrain, Painless, Auto Wire, what's another one? What is it? Speedway Motors, they got their own thing, Summit. What's up, Nathan? Different wiring harnesses, because I'm gonna need one. So that's why I was asking, what you guys using? Just trying to give a little conversation piece, little conversation piece. Just see what everybody else is using and why they use it. I know some people already commented on it about what they use. I've used them all. I don't know. I know some are better than others in like instructions and quality of the wire and stuff like that. So, like I say, this truck, it'll have a lot of accessories, but it's not gonna have a lot of accessories. You know what I mean? So it's gonna have power seats, so we're gonna have to have power for that. The seats are heated. I don't know if I'll be able to get the seats to heat since they're not in the Ford Explorer. I don't know. I'll have to do some research on that. But they are power seats, so I'm gonna have to get power for them. This thing's gonna have a Sniper 2 system. It's gonna have a Sniper 2 system. It has its own power, but it has its own wiring harness. It's gonna need voltage, which will go directly to the battery. This thing's gonna have gauges, which will be from NVU. So they're kind of like mechanical gauges. That's why I told y'all I hate flathead screwdrivers. Hate them. Head stripped out. I'm gonna keep these gauges. I'll just probably hang them up on the wall or something. I ain't gonna throw them away. I mean, they don't work, but they cool looking. Y'all stick around, likely a phone call. What are you talking about, phone call? Did it blur out? Did it freeze up, Nathan? I shouldn't have got no phone call. It's on Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi calling's turned off. It's in do not disturb. And there's no, I don't know. Sorry about that. I got the Wi-Fi calling turned off. I got it in do not disturb. And I got it in airplane mode. So the only thing that I'm on is on YouTube app through Wi-Fi. I'm telling you what, man, these damn telemarketers can get through with anything, man. Sorry about that, apologize. I had it do not disturb, Wi-Fi calling turned off, had it in airplane mode, and I'm just on the YouTube app, and somebody still glitched the thing. Sorry about it. Y'all see why I took this out of the truck to get this? It's 45. Man, that's a daggone warm front for y'all, man. Mike got a heat wave. Oh, I bet it did. Oh, I bet that did. I bet that just killed it. I bet that just stopped the fish. Got it. Got that one. That's a Lou B screwdriver. Lou B screwdriver. Lou B screwdriver. Got that off. They must expecting some cold weather. Bad weather coming cause what is it? XEM or XI? It's XYEYUEMU. I mean, what the hell is that? The tree cut. It used to be Ashrabula, whatever it was. The tree cutting service that cleans the power lines and stuff. They came by yesterday and said that they were going to be. They needed to get on the property to trim the lines. And I said, trim the lines for what? And they said, the power lines. I said, you don't need to get on the property. I ain't got no power lines. He's like, what? I said, all the power lines coming here is underground. He's like, really? I said, yeah. I said, he said, oh, then we don't need to be on the property then. He said, we don't need to be on the property. There's daggone probably 50 or more daggone tree trucks around here. Oh, that's way too big. This is private property. What's up, Yancey? This is private property. So I dieseled my power lines. Dieseled? What do you mean dieseled? What are you talking about? You put diesel fuel on your power lines? What? I ain't never heard no witchcraft like that before. Oh, I understand what it's for. I understand, but I'm asking you, you put diesel fuel and oil on your power lines? That's what I'm asking. I know what they do it for. I mean, I understand the concept. I'm trying to understand why you put diesel fuel. Why diesel fuel? Ain't that the truth, Nathan? Hey, you can say that again for everybody can hear in the background. Matter of fact, I wouldn't tell it out loud that you're putting diesel fuel and oil on the power lines. I wouldn't tell that out loud. I would have probably kept that to myself. You know, electricity, high voltage, flammable oil, flammable diesel fuel, massive fire, fuse, light the wick, burn for 900 miles. Yeah, I don't believe I would have told that out loud. Yeah, just the other day, the other day, the power went out, right? So the power went out. And then the next day, the power company called and said, I'm the last person on the grid, right? I'm the last person on the line, right? So the power company called the next day, sales lady, and she says, hey, blah, 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 this is what we're doing. We want to call you about this service that we're offering. It's no installation fee. Installation fee is normally $59.99, and the installation fee is waived, and we want to put a power surge unit on your meter, so when the power goes out and the power is restored, all that power doesn't get back on, doesn't force into your house and cause power grid information, cause surges on your equipment and stuff like that, or all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good. How much it gonna cost me? Oh, it's $15 a month for $25,000 worth of coverage. All right. I said, so let me get this right. My power just went out yesterday. Literally just went out yesterday for a couple hours, right? And you're calling me today to tell me you're going to offer me this service free of charge, no installation fee. You're going to waive the fee, no contract, and you're going to cover everything for up to $25,000. Refrigerate, whatever. If anything gets hit with a power surge, you're going to cover up to $25,000. Even if it comes through on the water line or the cable lines, you're still going to cover. Yes, sir. I said, okay. I said, well, if y'all would fix the damn power up there at the road where it goes out every time where all them damn tree limbs fall over it, maybe my power wouldn't go out and I wouldn't need no power surge. And she said, yeah. I said, I don't think I can be able to do it. She said, well, sir, it's going to save you all that equipment and stuff, your refrigerator, your washing machine and dryer, blah, blah. She's just reading off a cue card. I'm not mad at her. She's just doing her job. She's reading, yeah, Yancey. She's just reading off a cue card. She's doing her job. I'm not mad at her, right? So I said, her name was Gwen, right? And Gwen, if you're watching this, I don't mean nothing towards you. I said, Gwen, I know you're reading off a cue card. And you're selling. You're trying to sell ice to an Eskimo. And I understand and I get it. I understand you're doing a job. But I just don't understand why you're going to charge me another $15 a month for this surge. And lo and behold, something happened. And then I call in and say, hey, look, I had a power surge. And y'all's power surge fried my refrigerator, my washing machine and dryer. Y'all are going to find some kind of loophole somewhere in there that's going to make it my fault and not your fault. Oh, no, sir. It's nothing like that. I have it on my home. I said, well, I'm glad you have it on your home. I said, but most of the time when I'm at home and the power goes out, I turn everything off. And most of the time, I don't have a lot of stuff running anyway. Now, the refrigerator and stuff like that, it runs. It's idle running. But I understand you're trying to sell me something, and I get it. Well, sir, I'm just trying to protect you. And I said, no, you ain't trying to protect me. If you was trying to protect me, you would take off the damn $90-some service fees that you have attached to the daggone policy. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, y'all charge like $5.99 for lineman fee, $3.99 for 911 call, $2 and something for this. I said, I added it up. All the fees that y'all add, not to my power bill, all the add-on fees that y'all add. When you get to the bottom and you hit total, just in the fees alone, service charge fee, lineman fee, damn deer run across the power line and fried it, removal of damn bald eagle nest from everything that y'all got on this thing. It's about $90 a month. If you take all that shit off, I'd do the $14.99 a month. I'd do the $14.99 a month for the surge protector. Now explain to me how this surge protection works. Well, the technician comes out there in about 10 minutes, he'll be done. He goes into your meter, he puts this little module in there, and that right there keeps you from power surge. I said, so you mean to tell me a little bitty box? She said the box was about the size of a match of books. She said it was a little cube, little box. I said, so you mean to tell me this little bitty box has enough copper, titanium, iridium, or whatever's in this thing, nickeloid, whatever's in there. You're telling me that this little bitty surge protector box has enough power and enough ass to stop hundreds of thousands of volts, a 200 amp service coming through a line this big. You telling me this little bitty box is going to say, hey, hey, I'm the surge protector police. Y'all asses need to calm down before y'all come all up in this summer gun. Y'all need to slow down. And y'all need to come in here single file line and just ease back on into this grid. She laughed. She said, sir, you're hilarious. I said, I'm just trying to make logic out of it. You're going to tell me something that's the size of this is going to stop hundreds of thousands of volts coming through a damn cable that big around, madder than a damn wet hen. That little bitty box is going to say, hey, I'm the surge police. Sir, you want me to call you back in a couple hours and let you think about it? I said, I'll tell you one damn thing. You get an attaboy, that's for damn sure. You persisted. I said, you persisted. That's for damn sure. I said, I ain't interested. I ain't interested. I appreciate it. I really do. But I ain't interested in it. And she said, all right. And I want y'all to know. She called me back 2 hours later. She sure did. Phone rung. I looked down and it said Duke Energy. I said, what? I'll play. Hello? Hello, Mr. Green, blah, 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 blah. This is Gwen from the protection department. I'm just calling you back. Blah, 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 blah. JG, you do know how the new meters work. Yeah, I got a smart meter. Yeah, I got one of them smart meters. They come out, oh, that's another story right there. So she asked me, was I interested in it? And I said, no. I said, no, I believe I'm gonna pass. Are you sure? I said, oh yeah, I'm sure. Mr. Green, I'm telling you, man, it's just we're gonna waive the fee. I said, you're gonna waive everything? The $14 a month, you gonna waive all that? No, Mr. Green, I can't do that. I said, well, I ain't interested. In it. But I appreciate you. And she said, yeah. And then I said, do I get a referral fee? And she said, do what? I said, do I get a referral? She said, like if you refer somebody to us and they put one of these services on their home. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, we absolutely do. I said, really? She said, yeah. I said, you got a pen and a piece of paper? She said, we do. I said, okay. I said, I'm gonna give you some phone numbers. And she said, okay. So I give her about 5, 6 phone numbers of people that I owe favors to. You know what I'm saying? You picking up while I'm laying down? I give about 5 or 6 phone numbers to people that I owe favors to. Y'all picking up while I'm laying down? And she told me, she said, well, Mr. Green, if every one of these sign up, she said, you will get a $25 credit on your power bill. I said, well, go ahead with it. I said, call me back tomorrow and I'll have some more phone numbers. I know some people yesterday mad as hell today. They mad at me. They always mad at me, but they damn near mad at me now. They mad. They mad for sure now. They mad for sure. I got tired of messing with that son of a gun. See it right there? That big dog right there. Got tired of messing with it. Tired of messing with it. What's up, Tulu? What's up, Matt? Yeah, I'm like Nathan. I pay enough for now for power bill. Some of guns, and they keep going up. So I don't know. So let me tell you this other story. So when I put my water stove in, I might have told y'all, if you've heard this story before, just bear with me. So when I put my water stove in and my solar water panels, I called the power company. I told them, I called the power company and I told them that I was putting in a water stove. And I told them that I was putting in a water stove, and I told them that, oh, I'm pretty sure this is based off of a 58. So, yeah. So, so like I said, I called them and told them I was putting in a water stove, told them what I was doing, and they kept referring me to the solar panel division. And I kept telling them people, no, I'm not putting solar panels in. I'm putting a water stove in. What are you talking about? I'm putting a water boiler in. I said, this with solar panel, water panels. What? Oh yeah, you putting solar? No, I'm not putting, no. So I just stopped saying solar because they just didn't understand. Right? I said, no, I'm putting a water boiler in. What are you talking about? I said, you know, all big places have water boilers or stuff like that. So I had to explain to them what I was doing. Oh, okay. So what are you calling us for? I said, well, I'm just calling you and telling you because I just want y'all to know, because a buddy of mine put one in, and you know, the power company was kind of, you know, something was weird. So I'm just letting y'all know I'm putting a water stove in. So after about 2 or 3 times trying to explain to them what I was doing, I said, you know what, just forget it. So I put the water stove in. It took me about 3 months to get it done the way I wanted to do it. I did all the work. I installed it. I dug the ditch. I wired it up. I done the servos. I done it all myself. Done it all, right? Dug the ditch, rented a ditch width, dug the ditch, you know, done it all, right? So when winter started coming, waited to the end of the billing cycle. And then I put the water stove online, right? Meaning I hooked it, I flipped it on, everything was good to go. So I turned off the central heat and air unit. So I wasn't using electric heat, I was just using the water boiler, right? And I went the first month, which was like October. And it wasn't too bad cold. It was cold, but it wasn't too bad, right? And we just about got it, boys and girls. So we did the first month and looked at the power bill, right? Power bill went down substantially went down, right? I'm not gonna say no numbers, but it went down a lot. So if you don't know how central heat and air works, so the way it works is, the way it was explained to me from the heat and air guy, when a heat and air system that's electric, a heat pump, not gas packs, heat pump, it takes the outside air, it runs it through, it charges the air up, it warms the air up about 10 to 15 degrees, whatever it is outside. So let's just say it's 50 degrees outside, the heat pump system, the way it does, it heats up the air, 10 to 15 degrees, let's just say 12 degrees from what it is outside. So if you got your thermostat set on 70 degrees, it's 50 degrees outside, then that means it has to warm the air up to achieve that 70-degree temperature on your thermostat. If it runs for a little while and it does not achieve that temperature that it's trying to reach, what happens is your heat strips come on. So typically, most of them have 3 or 4 heat strips, and they are megawatts. I mean, they pull a lot of power. So what happens is the heat strips or the heating element, the first one will come on. The timer will come on and say, hey, look, we're not getting enough air. We're not getting enough heat from the compressor side. So let's turn on the heat strip 1. So heat strip 1 will come on, and it'll run for just a little bit. And that's when you smell, when you smell like dust, that dust burning smell, that's because it's burning off the dust, and that's in the air, it's burning off. So the first heat strip will come on. Once that heat strip comes on, it's warming the air up. So when the timer goes off, that first heating element cuts off, and then the second one comes on. And then the second one runs for a little bit, and then it cuts off. Then the third one comes on, and it runs a little bit, right? So this is how it was explained to me. If somebody knows different, let me hear it, because a heating and air guy that's been doing it for 40 years, this is how I explained it to me. So the first one comes on, it runs for just a few minutes, not long, and then it cuts off. The second one comes on, it runs for a little bit. The third one comes on, it runs for a minute. If the temperature is still not achieved to what it needs to get, what will happen is all 3 elements will come on at the exact same time, and then the blower motor on the fan will go into turbo mode. That son of a gun will sound like a daggone airplane taking off. So you got the first one, the second one, the third one, they all come on. Once they come on, they're heating up the air super fast. The blower motor knows, hey, we got all 3 elements on it. We got to get to work. So the little fan, it comes on and it just supercharges all the air as fast as it can for like 5 minutes. And then what happens, everything cuts off, everything cools down, and it keeps doing this cycle until it achieves the heat that you're asking for. That's why in the wintertime, when everybody's got their damn heat and it's cold outside below 30 degrees, and everybody's asking for power, and the damn grid's out there spinning like a daggone wheel and smoking, that is why your power bill goes up, because those heating elements are coming on and they're constantly running, right? So, with that being said, that's why your power bill spikes, right, in the wintertime, right? So what I have done is I've put a water stove outside outside, and I run 1-inch thermal coupling lines, 1-inch thermal lines inside dimension from the water stove, 3.5 foot in the ground, 3.5 foot in the ground. They're insulated. I have 2 1-inch lines, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so I have 6 3/4 PEX lines, and I have 4 1-inch thermal coupling lines, right? So with that being said, there's 2 1-inch thermal coupling lines that run to the house, under the house, and they go into a 250,000 BTU heat exchanger. Now, I know that's a little overkill, but I'd rather have more than less, all right? So inside the ductwork, there is basically a radiator or a radiator, whatever you want to call it. It's a 250,000 BTU heat exchanger. So basically, it's just a radiator. So it is built into my ductwork, right? The blower motor, the fan is in the ductwork, right? So what happens is I build a fire out in the wood stove. It has a 300-gallon water tank. I get the water at about 180, 190 degrees, plus or minus. The circulator pump has 3 speeds, low, medium, and high. I normally run it on low. Sometimes if I need to dissipate a lot of heat off the water, I'll go to 2, right? What the circulator pump does is it circulates hot water constantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It constantly circulates hot water from the water boiler through those 1-inch coupling lines to the heat exchanger in the ductwork and back to itself. It's basically like a heater coil on a vehicle with a radiator system. It's basically the exact same thing. But it's an open system, not a closed system like on a vehicle. A vehicle is a closed system, so you raise the pressure, right? You raise the cap pressure. On a water stove, it is open to the elements, so it doesn't build no pressure. It's just constantly running water, just constantly circulating. So what I have done is I've went in there and I have rewired my heat strips, all right? So my heat strips don't never come on, all right? So let's just say my heat pump, say my thermostat is set on the wall for 70-degree air, right? And let's say that the temperature drops and the heat pump comes on, and the heat pump is pulling the air to charge the air, and it's blowing the air that is pulling through the ductwork to warm up. Well, here's something that they don't know. In the ductwork, I have a radiator that's about 180 degrees. So when that air goes through that radiator, the air temperature coming out of my floor is about 150 degrees out of the floor. I've done a video and posted it before. Somebody said, "You full of shit." I'm like, no, I'm telling you. If I tell you something, I'm telling you. So when my heat runs, it only runs for just a few minutes and it's just supercharged. So in the beginning, I would just let the heat pump come on and the heat pump run, right? Just to circulate air. My power bill dropped substantially because the heat strips were never coming on, right? I disabled them. I put them in disable mode. So they never come on. So basically the compressor and the heat pump unit comes on, and then it blows the air across the coils, the heat exchanger, and the air supercharges in the house. And if your house is well insulated, it don't run that much. So October came, September came. The end of September, the power company came out. They come by the house, and the guy was out there at the meter. And I said, "Man, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, nothing much, man." He said, "We're just changing out the meters." Like Nathan said, we're going to put a smart meter in, and we just hadn't got in this area yet because you live out in BFIE. So I got on my ticket that to come out here and replace your meter. So they took my old meter. You know, allegedly back in the day, you could take those old meters and turn them upside down. They'd run backwards and then put them back upside right about a week before the meter reader come out there to read them, and your power bill would go down because the meter was allegedly running backwards. Okay, I'm just saying, allegedly. So when he comes out here, he takes the old meter out and he puts a smart meter in, right? Which they don't even have to come on the property. They read it from the road. It's wireless, right? He never said anything else to me. He leaves, right? The next month, so I started in October. September, they came out and changed the meter. At the beginning of December, 2 guys came out. I'm here at the shop, dogs barking. I go out there, I was like, "What y'all doing?" He's like, "Oh, no, we just inspected the meter." I said, "Okay." We got all this took out too, by the way. So he said, "I'm just inspecting the meter." So they out there, he said, "Man, we got to turn the power off for just a few minutes." I said, "Yeah, man, cool, whatever. Ain't nobody here but me. Go ahead." Turns the power off, does this, whatever, this, that, whatever. And then I said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "We're changing the meter out." And I was like, "Well, that guy was just here the other day." He said, "Yeah, we're changing that with another one." So they changed it out to one that is a little bit more fancier than the one they had, right? Then when he shut the meter box up, when he gets to the bottom, he puts one of those Duke Energy gold locks on it. And I look at him and I said, "What is that?" He said, "Oh, it's just locking the meter." I said, "Why are you locking the meter?" He said, "You could see it was kind of awkward." He's like, in my work order, I was told to lock the meter." I said, "Well, I'm going to cut the lock off." He said, "Well, you can't do that." I said, "Why can't I?" He's like, "Well, that's Duke property." I said, "It's connected to my house." And he's like, "Yeah, but the meter box belongs to Duke." I said, "No, hell, it don't neither. I bought that. That's mine. Duke didn't do nothing but run the power lines here. Duke don't own nothing because last time I checked, I don't see Duke sending me no money." He's like, "Look, man, I ain't trying to cause no trouble or nothing." He said, "I got a work order to put the padlock." I said, "How am I supposed to reset my breaker meters. So my breakers for my outside receptacles and the emergency shutoff for my heat pump is in that box. What? I said, take the damn padlock off, I'll show you. So when you pull the bottom hatch up, there is all my main plugs to turn off. I said, if you lock that and something happens to my heat pump or one of my receptacles trip, I can't fix the breaker because you got it locked. So I'm taking the damn lock off. He said, look, man, you can't take the lock off. I said, I tell you what I'm gonna do. You leave. Matter of fact, you ain't even gotta leave. I'm gonna cut it off right now and you can videotape me cutting it off. And he said, man, I'm gonna have to call my supervisor. I said, go ahead and call him. Call him or her, whatever you wanna do. So he calls his supervisor. I come down to the shop. I get a set of damn bolt cutters, them big boys. I walk back up there and he says, my supervisor's on his way. I said, okay. Supervisor gets here, he's like, hey, Mr. Green, I'm such and such, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah. I said, hey, man, you can cut all the damn amenities. You can cut all the damn amenities out. He's like, look, man, I understand your frustration. I talked to my tech. They're just doing a job, blah, 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 this, that, whatever. And he says, we got to put the padlock on her. I said, there ain't but two things you got to do in life. And he said, what's that? I said, live and die and pay taxes. And you're not locking my meter because well, sir, I don't, why did you put that in there? I said, electrician done it that way. I didn't want my heat pump stuff in my house. I wanted it to be able, where I needed to get to it, I could get to it. And I said, I don't understand why you're putting a padlock on it. Well, I don't want to accuse anybody of anything. I said, you want to accuse anybody of what? And he's like, well, we got some suspicious activity going on. And I said, what do you mean suspicious activity? He said, well, suspicious activity. I said, you mean like flipping your meter upside down, letting that sun gun run backwards so you don't have to pay your power bill? His eyes got that big. I said, y'all know how it works. Or pull the meter out and put two damn butter knives in the hole and the meter ain't all the way plugged in and it don't spin and you got all the power you want because you took. I know how it works. So are you accusing me of stealing power? No, sir. It's just, no, we're not doing it. I said, that's what it sounded. Did it look like there was anything going on in that box that did not look like it's supposed to be there? And the guy said, no, that's why they took the meter out. See, they took the meter out because you could hack the first ones. You could go out there with an app and hack them. So they've changed them. So they come out, and I told them, I said, look, the first meter was an old school meter. You could turn upside down and run it backwards. The second meter that you brought out here, there's daggone hackers out there that have made an app where you can hack into it and change it. His eyes got that big. I said, dude, I might be in the country, but I'm not stupid. But I'm not going to jail for stealing power. And he's like, well, we're just going to leave it on there for 90 days and we'll come back and check it. I said, you can do all you want to, but you cutting the damn lock off of it. And he says, I said, why is my account flagged for suspicious activity? He said, your power bill. I said, okay. Now you got two technicians and a supervisor in my driveway, right? In the summertime, or no, it was close in the wintertime. It was in December, right? They come in the fall. He said, well, your power bill in October was this last year, and then October it started going down. Then September it went down again. November it went down again, and December it went down way down in December. And I said, okay. So he pulled it up on his laptop. He said, you see right here, your power use from October, November, December, or September, October, November, and December. Here's your power use for those months. And here it is on the grid. For September, October, November, December, here is your power grid for this year. The weather is the same as it was last year, but your power bill has dropped like 60%. I said, yep. So that's why it flagged it suspicious. I said, okay. He says, I mean, I'm not accusing you or nothing. I said, yeah, you are, because see, you just come out here to do something and you didn't just walk up here and say, hey man, there's something going on here. Is there something that you're doing different? See, y'all assume that somebody's stealing from you. So what you should have done is had a little bit of respect and come down and say, hey, look, man, there's some shit going on around here and we're confused. So is there anything that you're doing different? And explain to us why are you doing this? I mean, are you turning everything off at night, or what are you doing? See, these are things that you could have asked and saved all this craziness that we got going on. I said, but see, if Duke Energy would have done their due diligence and listened to me about 5 or 6 months ago, when I told their dumb asses that I was putting a water stove in, he said, a what? I said, a water stove. I'm putting a water stove in. You know, H2O water. You know, H2O, that's the only thing that we can't produce. In the world of technology, we can do everything in the world, but you know what we can't do? We can't make water. We can't make water from scratch. That's the only thing that we can't make. So I got a water stove. And then I started explaining to him what I done and how I was doing it. And then eventually I stopped using my heat pump altogether. So I have a system now. I said, I have a system. If I need to have heat in my house, periodically I have an app on my phone because it's hooked up through the Nest software. And I periodically have it set where it alerts me if the temperature in the house drops to a certain temperature. If it does, then what I do is I just turn on the fan. Right? I just turn on the fan. Don't turn on the heat pump. Don't turn on the, I just turn on the fan. For the Nest thermostat, you can run a fan for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or 45 minutes. I can run the fan for 15 minutes, and my house will increase 6 degrees. The temperature of my house will increase 6 degrees in 15 minutes. If the water is 175 degrees, the temperature in my home will raise 6 degrees. If I run the fan for 30 minutes, it will increase the heat about 12 to 14 degrees in 30 minutes. That means if my house was 68 degrees, in 30 minutes, I could increase it by 15 points. And he goes, what? I said, yes, come here, I'll show you. So I walked out to the water stove and I showed him the water stove. I showed him the circulator pumps. I showed him the thermostats. I showed him all the little lines. I showed him the wiring. I took his big fat donkey ass underneath my house. I showed him the heat pump. I showed him the heat exchanger. I brought him out here in the shop. I showed him the heat exchanger out here in the shop. I showed him every bit of that. Now, he didn't go in my house. I showed him every bit. I showed him on my phone. I showed everything. He looked at me and he says, I said, dude, I can literally get in the house and turn on my hot water and take a shower and never run out of hot water. As long as the fire is burning, I never run out of hot water, ever. I have a hot water heater, but it's not on. It's just on standby. The hot water heater underneath the house that most people have is just a holding tank. So the domestic water runs from the road to the water stove, goes through 200 foot of copper line inside the barrel, inside the water tank that you can't get to. When it comes out, the water is 140, 150, 160 degrees, whatever the water temperature is, that's what it is. It goes through a mixing valve. That mixing valve cuts the water down to like 120. By the time the water gets back to the house, which is 150 some feet, I lose about 9 to 10 degrees in the water or in the ground through insulation. Then that water is dumped into a hot water stove or a hot water heater that's fully insulated, and it's just a holding tank. So when you go to turn, and then I have a circulator pump on the hot water side that circulates all the hot water in my house through my hot water side. So when you go turn the spigot on, it's instant hot water. You don't have that delay. You don't have, most time when you go in there and you turn your water spigot on, you got to wait like, I don't know, a minute and a half before you get some hot water. Hell no. You turn my spigot on, you can cook shrimp. You can cook shrimp right there. And that guy says, what? I said, yes, sir. So the supervisor is sitting there going, man, this is some crazy shit. Do you mind if I take some pictures? I said, no, sir. He took some pictures. He's like, where can I get who done this? I said, I did. Really? I said, yes, sir. Where did you buy this at? I said, well, where the place I used to work at, they used to build these things. I said, around here, everybody had these things. I said, but actually this one right here came from Amish country. This one right here was built in Pennsylvania. They built it at the warehouse. The warehouse is run off of military generators because the bishop lets them run military generators so they can weld and stuff because that doesn't violate the rules of the church. This one right here is just a regular box, no electricity, no electronics, no nothing. The new ones you buy have regens on them where they regen the smoke and all that stuff, and you got all these sensors and these computer chips. I wanted one that just was a firebox and a water tank and circulator pumps. That's all I wanted. And Amish country, they build them there, and the government don't regulate them because they're in Pennsylvania. They're on Amish country. And he's like, do you have the man's name? I said, yeah, I got the salesman's name. Well, who installed it? I said, I installed it. I said, if you're anything mechanically inclined, you can install one yourself. It's basically water lines and it's basically 110. That's all it is. It's 110. Right? It's 110. As long as, and I said, the firebox is 30 by 30 by 30 by 30. It's a 30 by 30 by 30 square. And the guy looked at me and he said, dude, I am so sorry. Y'all like this information, wait till he tells you air compressor smash things. So he looked at me and he said, I am so sorry. I apologize. I will do a full report. I will let my supervisor know that we're going to take the lock off of that. Man, I am so sorry. He said, do you mind if I call you if I decide, if I can talk to my wife? I said, now look, it ain't easy. It's a lot of work, man. I said, you got to feed that son of a gun. You have to do your due diligence, right? You have to be proactive, not reactive, right? So now, let's just say I don't cut wood, right? Let's say I don't cut wood. All I got to do is go in there and flip the switch and the heat pump comes on like normal. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, let's say I drop dead tomorrow, right? And my wife don't want to have nothing to do with the water stove. Absolutely nothing to do with the water stove. Nothing. There is 3 valves that she turns off on the water. 3 valves. And the water stove just sits out there in the woodshed and rots to the ground. Pretty much it. It goes back to normal. The water stove is my personal preference. That's what I do, right? So, and he's like, okay, I got it. And I said, now the water panels that I have, these solar water panels, they're 80,000 BTU water panels. So I have to get them plumbed up, I told him. I said, in the summer, I just barely burn any water, but in the summer, I rotate water through 4 80,000 BTU water solar panels. So I have endless hot water in the summer, endless, because I use the sun to heat the water, and then the holding tank holds it. And he's like, dude, you a smart son of a gun. I said, I guess, I don't know. Now, do y'all want to hear about my air compressor? Supervisor's fine. Y'all like this information? Wait, he tells you air compressor set up, smash it. Do y'all want to hear the what? Y'all want to hear the air compressor? That is my water stove situation. So my power bill during the winter is bare none. Because now somebody's gonna say, well, you got to buy wood. Well, my aunt owns a wood service, so I get all the wood that I want to get. I got friends that call me and say, hey, a red oak fell in my yard. I'm going to cut it up and bring it to you. I'm very fortunate and very blessed that people bring me wood. I had a guy bring me a truckload of damn red oak the other day, like 2 days ago. And then he said he's going to bring me some more Saturday. And I said, well, I'm going to go cut a limb down Saturday I'm going to go cut a limb down where my son's buried at. There's a tree up there I need to cut the limb off of before it falls. And he says, I'll come help you. So, nope, no more problem with the power company. Nope, I ain't had no problem with them here. So, yeah, the air compressor. All right, so we do this. So I'll tell you about the air compressor. So my air compressor system set up in this type of work, air. Air is your livelihood. Air is your lifeline. If you don't have air, then you can't do what you need to do. So what I have is my main compressor is a 32 CFM No, 33 CFM monster on 240. Now, if I would have known that I could got a three-phase converter, I would have got a three-phase compressor. So the biggest compressor that you could get on 240, 480 volt, right? The biggest son of a gun you could get. It's like 33 CFM at 90. That's 33 CFM at 90. The max pressure is like 175, 185. Now, she is a monster, right? So, when the compressor comes on, the compressor runs. The compressor has a pre-cooler and a post-cooler. The compressor also has a sandblasting mode where you flip it in sandblasting mode and the compressor, the wheel continuously spins, but it's not building pressure, right? So it don't start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. So if I ever got a blast cabinet or something, I could use it. So then that's it's 120. Yeah, it's 100. Yeah, it's 120. Yeah, it's either 80 or 120. We'll just say 80, right? So it's a 80 let's say it's 100. It's a 120 gallon tank. I don't know. She's a monster, and it's an upright, and it has an auto drain, right? So that compressor runs. That compressor runs, and it fills up the secondary compressor, which is my Emersol Ram compressor. That is right at 22 CFM at 90. It's just a backup compressor. There was nothing wrong with that compressor. It was fine for me by myself, but when I hired somebody and you got multiple air tools going on, I needed more air, so I got a deal and ended up getting the big boy. So the big boy is plumbed up into the Emersol Ram, which is a 80-gallon tank. Now, the Emersol Ram is just backup. I don't use it. Every now and then, I'll turn it on just to let it run, but that's about it. So the main compressor, you have a post cooler and then an after cooler. When it comes out of that tank, it goes directly into the Emersol Ram tank, right? Once it leaves that tank, it goes into another 80-gallon tank, right? So you got 3 tanks. So you got the first tank, the second tank, and the third tank. It ain't even got in the building yet, right? It ain't even got in the building. So let's just say you got an 80, an 80, and an 80, right? So that's 240, right? Yeah, 240 gallons, right, of air, of volume. So then when it comes out of that, it goes through a 3 condensate filtration system. Then when it comes through that, then it goes through the air regulator in the shop. Once it runs out of that, it runs through an Emersol Ram air dryer. That air dryer runs and dries the air even more. Then it goes through a 1-inch rapid air aluminum pipe system in the shop. So fills the whole shop, right? And I got 3 drop downs. So when it comes out of this shop, it goes out that door right there, and I buried it in the ground. It's buried in the ground 250 feet in the ground. One piece. It's the 1-inch aluminum rapid air roll. So from this shop all the way to the paint booth, it's buried in the ground like 3.5, 4 foot. It's the furthest the damn ditch witch would go. It's like a 36-inch ditch, and I dug it. And then I put that line into a 4-inch or 2.5-inch piece of PVC pipe. So I run that air line, which could be buried in the ground, but I'm OCD. I put that in a piece of PVC pipe. Run it all the way down, the gray pipe, like electrical. Run it all the way to the paint booth. It comes out of the ground down there, one piece, runs to another 80-gallon tank, right? Runs to another 80-gallon tank, comes out of that 80-gallon tank and goes through a 5-stage tsunami system. Then it comes out of that system and goes into my paint booth. So my paint rep come here one day in the summer, and he had his tsunami gauge, right? And he checked it on here, and I had like 5 I had less than 5% moisture in my air, less than 5%. With the refrigerator dryer not on. When you turn the refrigerator dryer on, it dropped below 1%. Did you get a permit? Permit for what? Permit for what? For my airline system. So that's the short version. So I'll tell you how much air I have. So in the summer, so you got three 80-gallon tanks out back, then you got one 80-gallon tank down at the booth. So that's 320 gallons worth of air volume, right? Then you have all the airline, which is 1-inch airline. I figured it up one day. It's like 650 gallons of air is what I have. I figured it, I want to know how much I had one day. So it's like 650 gallons of air. So I had put the first coat of clear on a vehicle in the paint booth, right? In the summertime. The damn power went out, right? Summertime, you can see, right? Power went out. So the paint booth has got to open. Somebody give Yancey. So the two extra 80-gallon tanks that I got, there is a place in Greensboro that they'll have used tanks. So here's the crazy thing about it, right? So this guy calls me one day and he says, hey man, you can find them online, all right, on Marketplace. This guy calls me one day and he says, hey man, he says, the paint rep told me you was looking for an 80-gallon or a 120-gallon tank. I said, I am, just a tank. He said, I got an 80 here that was warranted out. MSR Ram warranted it out, and we had to take all the compressor stuff off of his tank and put on a new tank. And I said, okay, fine. All right, cool. And I said, what's wrong with it? He said, the foot is cracked. I said, what? He said, the weld on the foot is cracked. I said, it's cracked on the tank or it's cracked on the foot? He said, it's cracked on the foot. The weld broke loose on the bracket, the bracket broke loose from the weld. The weld did not break loose from the tank. So where it was at in a mill in Greensboro, safety OSHA wouldn't let it be in the building. And I said, okay. He's like, so I technically supposed to cut the tank in half and throw it in the dumpster. And I said, okay, but if you want it, come see me. I said, okay. So I drove up there, and it was an 80-gallon Emerson round tank, and the bracket was broke on the weld side on the bracket, not the tank. I had to sign this piece of paper, you know, liability, insurance, whatever, fine, whatever. I give him a $100 bill for the tank. I come home, I cleaned it up, I re-welded the damn foot to it, and that's the damn tank that that's the tank that I have down at the booth. Now, let me tell you how much air I got. So how much air, damn, we've been on here 80 minutes. So this is how much air that I have. I put the first coat of clear on this little Malibu. I had like this 2005 Malibu, right? And I didn't post no pictures of it because it was collision work, and sometimes I just don't even post shit like that, right? So it was like a 2005 Malibu, right? Only thing I do is fix the hood, the deck lid, and a dent in the driver's side door, but the paint was faded. It was just dull, right? Just dull. They wanted me to repaint the hood, the damage and stuff like that, and then they wanted me to re-clear the whole car. And I said, I normally don't do stuff like that. The man said, look, the car looks like shit, and if you paint the hood and the roof and the deck lid, it's gonna look, like you said, a brand new quarter, and the rest of it's gonna look like a dull penny. And I said, absolutely. And I said, well, what I can do is I can just scuff the rest of it. No body work. They signed the paperwork and stuff like that. Just scuff the rest of it. And what I did was I painted the hood, the roof, and the deck lid. And then I went over the whole car and sprayed DBC 500 to open it back up. And then I put one light coat of base over the whole car, just so it would just have new color. I re-cleared the whole car, right? I really even hate telling you I done this, but I did it for the guy, right? I did it for the guy because that's what he wanted, right? He bought the car new. He said, I'm not buying another car. The car had like 200,000 miles on it. He said, I'm not buying another car. This is what it is. I said, fine, not a problem. So he agreed. I agreed. Everything was fine. We signed the paperwork. Everything was good. Everything was copacetic, blah, 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 whatever. I put the first coat of clear on. The power went out. In the summertime, had a nice cool day. It was like 80 degrees. Nice cool day. Damn power went out. You want to talk about pins and needles. I'm like, oh my God. Now the first coat of clear was nice. But I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? So I was just using production clear. I was using some shop line production clear. You know, it's good clear. It's probably a 10-year clear. And that's what he agreed to. I'm like, you know what? Piss on it. So I come in the house, I come and get my duck box, or come and get my duck bag, right? I get my headlamp out of my stuff. This is before I had the Luma light, right? I come back up here, I get my headlamp, I go back down in the booth, and I cleared their car. I put 2 more coats of clear on that car and never run out of air pressure. Never run out of air. I re-cleared that car, 2 more coats of clear with shop line clear, with a headlamp on and the light coming through the windows and stuff in the booth. And I re-cleared that car. And you got to understand, I turned my air pressure down, so I'm running about 28 PSI, but I got like 600 gallons of air. And I went in there and I just re-cleared the whole son of a gun. Now, here's the problem. You're probably saying, what the hell did you do? Because the fans wasn't running. I opened the doors. I opened the big doors. So the doors were completely open. Right? So I made peace with it. If I got a bug or a gnat or anything in it, I would nib it out. I would rather have to nib out a bug than have to re-sand a whole car after the first coat of clear and have to re-tape up a whole friggin' car because the damn power went out. So yes, I opened the big doors and just like a duck on a June bug. I went in there and cleared that bad boy, and then I'd walk out the paint booth. I'd come up here to the top of the hill. Now the wind was blowing, so I had airflow and stuff like that periodically coming through. I'd let that thing flash off. I went right back down in there. I sprayed it again, put another coat on there, had my air pressure turned down, done that. 40 minutes after I laid the last coat of clear, the power come back on. Power come back on, shut the doors, turned the fans on, left the fans running for 12 hours. Let the fan run for 12 hours to pull the fumes and stuff out. I had a couple little pieces of trash in it, had a couple little bit of bugs. The car was like a light silver. I went in there and nibbed out the bugs, airbrushed it clear back in the spot, done that. Guy was tickled to death. When the guy came to get the car, I told him what happened. And he looked at me and he says, did you finish my car? I said, yes, sir, I finished your car. I did, I finished it. Pulled it out on the runway, nice pretty day, had him to walk around the car. He was like in his 60s. He was happier than a pig eating shit. He said, well, I'm sorry I caused you so much trouble, Sonny. I said, it's okay, man. Are you happy with it? He said, absolutely. I said, I need you to sign this piece of paper saying that you're happy with it. And he said, okay. He signed it. I said, now listen, if you get this car back and, you know, like 30 days or something, you find something that you don't like, you know, if there's a bug in it or something or a piece of lint in it or something. Now, silver, it wasn't a high metallic silver, but it was a silver. It was like a platinum silver, so it wasn't really like super metallic. So the silverness, you know, if it had a gnat in it, you wouldn't be able to see it because the silver had black specks in it too. I appreciate that, Yancey. So I said, look, shit happened. I done what I had to do. And he said, I understand. And I said, 30 days, whatever, you let me know, you come back, whatever. And he said, oh, yeah, that's fine. So about a year later, I seen him at Walmart. And I go outside and I see him, and I didn't want to say nothing to him, you know. I seen him and then I seen the car. So I walked there and looked at the car. You couldn't tell I painted that car or not. Man, that thing was scratched up. It had a dent in the fender. The back bumper was busted, and I'm thinking, here I am, all stressed out. They done used that son gun like a demolition derby car. Hey, I appreciate that, Mac. All right, boys and girls. So let's get back to it. So right here is all the wires. I appreciate everybody that stayed with story time. So here's all the wires. I'm not going to throw these away, but the gauges that we're using in here, these are 7-inch. So the gauges that we're going to put back in here is if you're looking for, I'm going to tell y'all right now. If y'all are looking for a different option in gauges other than Dakota Digital and all them other crazy gauges, go check out NVU, New Vintage USA. And when you call and talk to them, ask to speak to Jennifer or Vince, right? I'm telling you right now, when you call and speak to them, when you call and talk to them, Jennifer is the owner and Vince is one of the designers and the builders. You call NVU Gauges and you ask to speak to them and you tell them that JG from the Peach Capital, you tell them that JG from the Peach Capital sent you because they have gauge clusters for square body pickup trucks. They have gauge clusters for C10 pickup trucks. They have really, really, really nice gauges. Now, the gauges down here, where are they at? The CFRs, I think that's what they are. The CFRs, that's the one, oh yeah, I think that's it. The CFRs, that's the ones that's going in OG6, and I'll show it to you. And they also make them LS compliant. So if you're going to put an LS in your stuff, they can send you all the stuff to make it plug and play. Right here they are. Look here. Look at that right there. 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 Yeah. Little dusty. Look, and then see, you tell them it's LS, and they'll send you everything that goes with it for LS. So everything's there. They send everything. So tell them that JG Innovation Garage, tell them JG sent you, and they'll take care of you. But like I said, NVU Gauges, it's called New Vintage USA. It's a family-owned business. It's a small business, and I'm all about supporting the small business. There's nothing wrong with Dakota Digital, don't get me wrong. There's Dakota Digital in this summer gun right here. But you're looking like $3,000 in a gauge cluster and all the computer and the HDMX. It's like $3,000 for everything in this. We looked at gauges for the 63 Impala. It's like $3,000 for the gauges and all the stuff to make it work in the 63 Impala. That client didn't want to spend that kind of money, and I don't blame him. If that's not what type of party is, it's not. They also have a gauge cluster for square body. I know a lot of guys out there got square bodies and K5 Blazers and C10s and stuff. They make gauges for those vehicles, and they're nice. So go check them out. What the hell just happened there? Daggone, Nathan. As well as Techmore. Damn, Nathan. I know what. Take him to dinner tomorrow. Man, I appreciate that, man. I really do, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I did screenshot that. I did. I ain't gonna lie to you. I double tapped the back of the screen. So with an iPhone, you can double tap the back of the housing. So take him to dinner tomorrow. So let me tell you what Nathan's telling. Let me tell you what Nathan's talking about, right? Tomorrow is my oldest son's birthday, tomorrow. He turns 21 tomorrow. So my oldest son, he turns 21 tomorrow. So that's, Nathan's on point. So yeah, my oldest son's birthday's tomorrow. He turns 21. So Man, I appreciate that, man. I really do. I'll tell him. I'll tell him. I'll tell him. So let me finish. Like I said, I'm gonna get the steering column out, and then I'm gonna get the vacuum cleaner and get some of this dirt and stuff, and I'm gonna blow all this stuff out. But man, I really appreciate that, dude, man. Everybody goes far and beyond, man. I really appreciate it. I really do. Like I said, I got to call and check. It's 3 o'clock. I'm gonna call and check and see if the parts come in for the Impala. They was looking for the exhaust flange, so I had to go order some at AutoZone. They said they would deliver them to those. I ordered the flange. They didn't have the flanges for the exhaust that goes onto the headers, so I went to AutoZone and ordered it. And I told them, I said, when you get it, just go and take it over to the exhaust shop guy. So they said it'd be in by 2:30. So let me call and check and see if they're. But man, I really appreciate that, dude. I really appreciate every single one of you. Mac, Yancey, Wonder of the World. Let's see who else is in here. Lee Jeff, Rock Fan, Metal Art Customs, Bay Driver. Let's see who else is in here. I don't want to miss nobody. I know I seen somebody else in here earlier. Jose, GWM, Mike, Roger. That's as far as I can go back. I appreciate you, boys and girls. Tulu, what color? Oh, so it's going to go seafoam. So this right here is going to be a teal. The client let me pick the color. So this is going to be a teal, like pastel colors. This is going to be teal. This is going to be white. This is going to be white. This is going to be teal. Probably do the bumpers in white. The roof's going to be white. The nose is going to be white. This right here is going to be the white. This will be teal. This will probably be white. This will be teal. This will be white. This will be teal. And then on the same thing on the back, it'll be teal. And then we just bedlined this other night live. If you missed that, go back and watch that. We bedlined that. And then got to figure out what he wants to do on the wall. We got to tear all that stuff out, put a new ceiling into it. We're going to put all aluminum ceiling in it, a 5052 aluminum. Got to put a new steering wheel in it, new steering column. It has a 302 V8 with an automatic transmission. Has a full custom chassis I built in this shop. Got to take that heater box out, and probably going to look in here about the brake booster stuff to see if I can get like a race car style or whatever. Look on that side. This is where you get in here to service it. Got all that stuff in there done. Custom built bumpers. Build all the bumpers in here in the house. It's a transmission cooler. He wants to put vintage air on it. And I'm probably going to make some panels right here with aluminum panels, and then do some dimple dye and some bead roll, so it'd be nice. So I appreciate you, boys and girls. Hey, I really appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, so y'all stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get up to 10,000 subscribers. We need about 700 more. I need about 700 more on TikTok to hit 1,000. And I need about 600, 700 more to hit 20,000 on Facebook, I believe. But just as soon as I get the Impala back, we'll go from that. So, boys and girls, I appreciate every single one of you. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And remember what I said, boys and girls, don't worry about the man up the road or down the road. Sweep off your own front porch while sweeping off anybody else's. Put God first at Lucy and Drag. Peace, and chicken grease. I'm out. What's up, JG? What's up, JG?